This week in IT, Microsoft is set to discontinue the remote desktop app. A new AI startup aims to help organizations with Microsoft licensing, and workers are spending 9 hours a week searching for information. So stay tuned for all the latest news. Welcome to This Week in IT, the show where I talk about everything connected to Windows, Azure, and Microsoft 365. But before I get started today, I've got a quick favour to ask you. 53% of the people who watched last week's video weren't subscribed to the channel. Now, as we go live today, we're on about 11,315 subscribers, and I'd love it if we could push that up to 11,400 this week. So if you'd like to see these weekly news roundups from petri.com, please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the bell notification to make sure that you don't miss out on the latest uploads. Microsoft announced this week that it's discontinuing the remote desktop app on May the 27th this year. So of course this is all a little bit complicated. Microsoft loves to muddy the waters. We have the remote desktop app, which is, as you've just heard, going away. Microsoft is recommending IT administrators to migrate their organizations over to what it calls the Windows app, which has been around for some time now. And of course we still have things like remote desktop connection, which administrators are often using to connect to servers. So what's different about the Windows app? Well, the Windows app is obviously now the one that Microsoft is investing in. This is where all the new features are going to go. And it seems to me that one of the biggest differences with the Windows app is the story around security. So you sign into it using a Microsoft Work or School account, and it can give you access to things like Windows 365 PCs and make all of the access to any PCs that you have access to seamless through that sign-in experience. Now, there are some other advantages of this app. It features things like customizable home screens, multi-monitor support, dynamic display resolutions, and optimizations for Microsoft Teams. Microsoft is saying that there are some features that are not yet available in the Windows app, and it's recommending that if you need those particular features, that you carry on using the remote desktop connection or remote connection, whatever it's called, and that you're going to just have to wait a little bit longer for some of these things to come into the Windows app. Microsoft is saying that IT administrators should help users adopt the new app if they've not used the Windows app before, updating documentation, providing some training on how to use it. So if your users are using things like Azure, a virtual desktop, Windows 365, or some kind of remote access system that relies on the remote desktop app currently, you really need to start looking at getting users migrated over to the Windows app as soon as possible. I thought this was an interesting story this week about a new AI startup called Onyx, and their mantra is that they're planning to keep Microsoft honest. So what is this all about? It's about probably our least favorite subject on this channel, and I'm sure your least favorite subject, and that is Microsoft licensing. Now, this stuff can get really, really complex, and Microsoft is starting to sell a lot of its cloud services now directly and bypassing the channel, so you don't have that kind of man in the middle, if you like, that's potentially able to negotiate good deals for you and to explain stuff and to really lay it out for you. You're going to have to deal with Microsoft more and more going forwards as a direct channel. Now, the idea of this startup is basically to provide answers to your licensing and pricing questions quickly and easily through AI. Now, this has been started by two guys from a company called Software One, and they bring a lot of experience with them. And a couple of interesting things about this service. You might think, well, surely this is a bit overkill. Can I not just use Copilot or ChatGPT to get the answers to my questions? Well, maybe, but what they're saying is they found that general kind of large language models didn't really produce reliable answers if you want very specific answers to your licensing questions. And there's a lot of hallucination going on because we know that AI tends to just make things up if it doesn't know the answer to a question. So they've designed their own large language model, and they've put lots of different safeguards into this to make sure that the answers you get back are actually factual and correct. They've also said that there are going to be humans behind this service as well to make sure the answers that you're getting through the AI are also up to scratch. So the idea behind this AI model is to try and provide companies with unbiased information that's going to get them the best deals on Microsoft licensing. There are going to be several different pricing tiers, and they're saying, this is going to be just a very small fraction of your overall Microsoft licensing costs if you decide to go with this solution. They're also planning to expand this service in the future, so they're starting off with Microsoft, but they plan to extend it to things like SAP and Oracle and various other vendors. And they're also hoping to provide companies with strategies to optimize their licensing to really get the best return on investment. Originally, the large language model was developed on Microsoft Azure, but the founders of the company decided, well, Microsoft might not like this service that they're providing, so they decided to move everything over to AWS just to be safe. Microsoft was apparently asked to comment on this new service, but they, not too surprisingly, at this stage at least, have declined. Some new research was released this week from Atlassian, and they are saying that workers are wasting up to 9 hours a week searching for information. Now, this is tied in a little bit to the story that we had last week about, tech overload for workers in the UK and trying to simplify applications, and that everything can be too complicated. And that is driving people away from working in certain companies. And we've talked about search on this channel before quite a lot, and this is one of the things that I'm quite passionate about. And it didn't really surprise me that workers are wasting a huge amount of time just trying to find the information that they need to get on with their jobs. Now, of course, that's quite frustrating. They're also saying, as part of this research, that often it's not you that's directly searching for information, but often you are requesting information from somebody else in order to progress a particular task, but they can't find the information they need in order to provide you with an answer. So lots of delays can occur because of this problem. The research says that 55% of knowledge workers face delays when they are looking for information, whether directly or via somebody else. And another problem that the research highlights is that sometimes tasks are duplicated. Again, this is really a communication problem. Maybe your co-worker is actually doing the same thing that you're doing, maybe searching for the same information or just doing the same actual thing because there's a communication breakdown and it's not clear what everybody is doing. Now, there are some recommendations about how you can potentially solve these problems in your organization. Of course, one of them goes back to the story that we had last week, and that was to streamline the technology that you're using. The less apps and the less data silos that you have, the easier it becomes for people to find the information that they need, of course. That probably is fairly logical, but many organizations don't really see that. Educate users on what the report calls cross-functional productivity. So I'm going to interpret that as things like being able to work on documents at the same time with your co-workers. There are still many people who just don't understand how these things work. If you think about Microsoft Office, you're able to essentially edit documents at the same time as your colleagues, even see what they're doing, see the changes that they're making. You don't need to have lots of different versions of the same document all circulating around, and then you have to merge them together, try to work out who's changed what. No. You need to really be using these features in Office to make sure that people can be getting on with stuff and you can collaborate with colleagues and get stuff done. I'd also like to give a quick mention to Copilot in this. If you do have Copilot licenses for your user, it's also a great way to find information. You can just open Copilot and say, I don't know, please find me an Excel document that lists prices for this product from 2024. And I found that it's been pretty good. Almost always it surfaces what it is that I'm looking for. So you can do that, and it can be sometimes more effective than using the built-in search functionality if you just kind of want to describe what it is that you're looking for in natural language. And there are lots of things in Copilot, like the semantic index, things like this, and things that Microsoft are bringing, to improve search with AI and natural language. So if you can keep as much data in your Microsoft 365 tenant, that's probably going to help your users find the stuff they need to get work done faster. But that's not the end of it, of course. There are loads of other features that can help you get stuff done. Things like workspaces in Microsoft Edge if you use that browser, so that you've got information to the important apps and documents that you might need on a particular project. It helps you to organize that information. Things like File Explorer and the OneDrive kind of view that you get in Microsoft 365, which lists recently used documents, and it kind of surfaces things that it thinks might be important. You can pin documents to quick access. There are all sorts of ways you can organize information so the stuff that you really need on a regular basis is always at your fingertips. Let me know what you think about this problem with search. Do you think it's an issue in your organization, or is everything so well organized users are able to just get what they want really quickly? I'd love to know how you've solved this problem in your business. Let me know in the comments below. If you got value out of this video, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, because it helps to get the video seen by more people on YouTube. I'm going to leave you with another video on the screen now where I talked about tech overload for workers in the UK. This is a big problem, application sprawl and all the rest of it, so do check that out. But that's it from me for this week, and I'll see you next time.